Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Selling Homes Through Social Media with MAPS Coach Dina Watson. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Dina, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just want to get a mic check from all of you, and we will go ahead and kick this off. If you can hear us, type your most exciting goal you have for 2021 into the questions box. I see somebody's raising their hand, so that I would assume we are good to go. Yep, you guys can hear me. Kat, awesome. Increase your closed units to 30. Love it. Thanks you guys so much for that. So once again, thanks for joining me. I know it's Tuesday, the beginning of a new year, the beginning of a new month. Super exciting and promising times ahead of us. I know all of us could not get out of 2020 any faster, so that's always exciting too. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the components of selling real estate through social media. Okay, my goal here for you is that through this really short webinar, I give you some actionable things to take out of this that you can put into your business right now and start generating some buzz on your social media newsfeed, and also a way to ensure that you understand the components of building a strong business in the social limelight. I'm also going to give you at the very end a really easy daily approach that you can use to start building your database through using social media and meeting different types of people that maybe you wouldn't have met in person. And depending on where you live, maybe you have no opportunity to meet people in person because you're back in quarantine. So let's kick this off. I'm going to give you a really quick intro to who I am. But before I do that, I want to give you the lay of the land for this. This is going to be recorded. It will be sent out to you, so you don't have to feverishly sit and take notes. Just be present and listen. Of course, if you want to take notes, go for it, but this will be recorded. If you have a question, pop it into the questions box. I will take time at the end to answer them. And as always, if you need me after this, my email address is Dina Watson, which is D as in Delta, E-A-N-A, Watson, obviously spelled the way it sounds, at kw.com. You can always reach out to me that way or through social media. If you find and follow me on social media, I will answer whatever questions you have. So let's kick this off. First of all, I am a MAPS mastery coach, so I do coach people one-on-one. If you have an interest in growing your business that way, I'd love to help you too. I am a boy mom. I have a 3-year-old kid who gives me a run for my money every day. My husband is an elite Green Beret soldier, and I am super proud of that because I know how hard he has worked. I am teaching this to you guys, and I teach the social media portion of MAPS classes for one particular reason. I have had, due to being in the military life, to start my business over 3, almost about to be 4 separate times in different states in the last 6 years because of us moving so frequently. And the reason I was able to do that and still have a team that sells over 100 homes a year every year is because of social media and organic growth through specifically Facebook and some Instagram. So that's the reason I'm here. My first year here in my local market I'm currently back in for the second time, sold 50 homes using Facebook with 0 ad spend, all organically through attracting people to me the way that I have been taught. Most importantly, I am a dog person, not a cat person. I find that that's the biggest question some people tend to have. Just kidding. Throughout the duration of the class today, if you have questions, my name is on the screen, and that's what it will look like if you found me on Facebook. So take a screenshot of this, so if you have questions later, you can definitely reach out. We're going to talk a little bit today about how to build a brand, what are the strong components of a brand, how to market that on social media, and how to make sure that you are posting at the best times for you. So step 1, I'm going to do this in a 3-step process. Step 1 to building a really large presence on social media is that no matter what you think about it, you have to brand yourself or your team if you're on a team. As a basic concept, branding is just answering the question, who are you? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? And what problem, we'll get to this in a minute, but you have to, with your branding, show people what problem you're going to solve for them. Now, In that branding, you guys, if you strip away all the fanciness, let's just keep it simple. I find I have a knack for keeping things fairly simple. Branding is literally just the promotion of a product through means of advertising it. That is all. You happen to be the product here. So branding, if you take all the fancy topics away, is just the ability for you to promote yourself through a means of strategic advertising. Think about a few of the large companies that we talk about on a daily basis. When you're asking, do you ask for a cotton swab or do you call all of them a Q-tip? When you're crying or when it's seasonal allergy time, do you ask for a facial tissue or do you say, pass me the Kleenexes? Kleenex and Q-tip are a brand. It is actually a brand of a particular product that over time has become synonymous with the product itself, much like Coke, Pepsi, or soda. Some people say soda. In all reality, there are two major players here, Coke or Pepsi. In a lot of parts of the country, you'll hear people ask for a Coke, and then you'll hear someone else say, what type? Where I live, if you ask for a Coke, they will hand you a Coca-Cola. So it's all different in certain places. And the last one that's the most giant of them all is, of course, Google. When someone is asking you to search for something, they'll tell you to go Google it instead of saying, will you please open up your internet and go to the search bar and type in this. They say, I don't know, go Google it, right? That's a brand. Now, the reason that these brands have become so giant, and the reason that some of these large teams that you're competing with in your marketplace have become so large and so giant to you, is because they have all of the components of a great brand. Whether we're talking about real estate or we're talking about anything else, the 6 key components to a great brand are all the same. What Coca-Cola does and what Apple does on a very basic level is the same needs that you would have to make yourself synonymous with real estate in your marketplace. Number one, every one of them has an identifiable logo. Now, I know I don't like to speak in generalizations. Every one of them, there might be one person that doesn't. Please don't write in later and say, well, you said everyone and I found this one person. You're going to find them if you're looking for them. Just go with me on this. Almost all of them are going to have an identifiable logo. Next, they're going to have identifiable colors, whether that be the colors of their company or the colors that they've identified for themselves within that. They all have those too. Next one is a clear brand promise. What does that even mean? Right? Some people will say, what does that even mean? What is it? And maybe you write this question down and answer it later, or you can pop it in the chat box. What is it that you promise to the public when working with you or your team? What is the promise that you or your team has that you are guaranteeing to deliver to the public? Now, I'm going to give you an example, REI or Patagonia. Anybody on here, I'm going to quiz you for those of you health buffs in the room or outdoorsy people. What is the brand promise for REI or Patagonia? And if you don't know what those two are, REI is an outdoor store, Patagonia is a clothing brand. REI and Patagonia have a very large promise of health and wellness and getting outside. For example, one of the Black Fridays, I got the idea that I wanted to go to an REI for my husband who loves all things outdoors. And literally I show up and the store is closed on Black Friday, you guys, the largest retail day of the year, and the dang store is closed. So I go on their website and I'm like, maybe there's not open yet. What's going on? And it literally on there says, get outdoors. We will open tomorrow. Their promise is more than just a promise. They delivered on that. The day that I wanted to shop, they wanted to shut down to allow people the time to go experience the outdoors. Okay, so I know when shopping at REI or buying Patagonia that they have a moral responsibility that's driving their brand promise. Okay, and this is a little bit more in depth than what you might need to get started, but it is two very large companies that will be a great, same thing as Nordstrom, right, or Ritz-Carlton. All of them have very identifiable things that they stand for that even if you've never stayed at a Ritz or gone into Nordstrom, if you've heard of customer service, they are synonymous with that, right? Go research those 4 companies if you want to get a little deeper in what I'm talking about, but those all 4 have a very strong brand promise. Next, they all have an identifiable target market. And this is something that you will need as well if you're building a strong brand. Last two things are the most important in my opinion. Design consistency. Does your business card match your logo? Does your business card match your email signature? Do both of those match your signs? If the answer is no, in order to have a great brand, all of those things need to be synced together and delivered in the same way. Lastly, do you have a strategy, an actual strategy to reach the target market of customers that you are after? Now, a strategy is not an idea, you guys. A strategy put on paper becomes a plan. Ideally, put it on paper. What is the way that you are going to reach your target market? Give you a personal example. My target, I live in a military community. I live in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of all kinds of awesome stuff, special operations, you know, USASOC, all these really cool things that most of you may not know run our country. A lot of the generals live here in my backyard. And interestingly enough, my target market is not the military service member. The reason that is because most of the time, not every time, most of the time, the wife or the spouse of the service member is actually the one searching for real estate ahead of their loved one. And so for us, for the first few years, we were chasing the service member. We had all of our stuff in red, white, and blue, and we were really, really wanting to get into that market, and we weren't understanding why it wasn't working. And when we stepped back and we actually said, who specifically, like go deeper than wherever you are right now. If you say you want luxury, go a little deeper than that. If you say you're working with move up or move down buyers, go a little deeper than that. If your target market is your sphere, go a little deeper than that. You guys, Pareto's principle, 80-20, we've all heard it. 20% of the people, if you can figure out who they are, will yield you 80% of your business. That is true almost every single time, no matter where you're looking. 20% of your business, 20% of your referral partners gave you 80% of your business. 20% of your sphere gave you 80% of your referrals. It is universal. It is a universal truth. So dive farther. And when we did, we realized that our market is actually the military spouse. More specifically for me, it's the military spouse of a special operations soldier, because that is most likely who I am. Okay, so wherever you are, dig a little more than where you think right now and find out what is your true market. As they say, the riches are in the niches in the South, but if you're in another area, it's niche. But there's no cute words for that. So the farther into a niche market you can get, the more money you will actually make. And that's the strategy that you will put into place. So now we're going to move on to the aesthetics of building a strong brand. The first and foremost one is going to be color. And in the simplest terms, literally, you guys, going back to science, color is just light waves, how it's reflected off of different things and how your brain perceives it. And you guys, I don't know if you know this, but each color that your brain sees coerces a certain emotion, and that is hardwired within us. So what I mean by that is when you see the color orange, subconsciously your brain thinks about or feels certain things that are different than when you see the color blue. If you want to know more about this, just give it a Google. Yes, that's a brand. The Psychology of Color. It's very interesting, but backed by reliable science and research, a product's color can actually influence someone's purchasing decision anywhere from 60 to 80%. Now, why do I bring that up? Because if your target market is one thing, and the subconscious feeling of those people doesn't align with your brand all the way down to the color, you may be missing something that if you put it together would blow your business up in ways that you could never have imagined. So there's a little thought that should go into this. I'm going to give you a few of the key colors and some of the things that people subconsciously feel when they see them, and then we're going to move on to the next phase of this. Red, people subconsciously think ambitious, confident, bold, powerful, or a sense of urgency. Blue is the preferred color for men. So if your target market is male, this might be a really good color for you to incorporate into your branding. It also yields calm, honesty, trustworthiness. There is actual science to show that an office building painted in blue internally calms down the staff. Okay. Green, youthful, relaxing, wealthy, stable, or organic. Think about all of the grocery stores that you know. Think about Starbucks. Yellow, optimistic, clear, energetic, fun, logical, and attentive. Yellow is one of those colors that actually, if painted on the wall, may increase your productivity. So there's so much, you guys, that goes into the branding of anything that if you look through the psychology of color, you will probably like spend, it'll become like the cat videos on YouTube. You just spend hours watching cats do silly things. Purple, it's the perfect blend between the stability that blue brings and the power of red. It also is synonymous with luxurious and rich. Next, orange creates a sense of haste, meaning urgency. It's also energetic, playful, social, and can create impulse. Now, for those of you who are watching this webinar on a computer, if you're on a MacBook or an Apple computer, I want you to type into the chat box, what color is it? If you're on an Apple computer or if you have one, what color is the shell of your computer without a case? If you didn't have a case on it, what color would it be? Silver, 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 gray. Yeah, I would say gray. Some people call it silver. Yep. So every time I teach this, I want you guys to understand there's a reason that Apple keeps their computers this color. It's timeless. That is psychologically what we feel and what we think when we see grays and silvers. It's timeless, it's neutral, meaning that it's not going to polarize people one way or the other. It's also practical and makes people feel and think the word solid. So I'm going to ask you as we get ready to move on here, the brand that you may have already created, is it synonymous through the colors, the messaging, all of what we've already talked about with the market that you seek to sell in? Now I'm going to throw you for a small loop. Some of you may have had something that's happened in your life that you want to honor through the colors that you choose, and that is 100,000% okay. I'm going to share with you. So about 5 years ago now, my mom actually died of ovarian cancer. Whenever we went to rebrand our team about 3 years ago now, I said, I want teal. Okay. Everyone on my team thought I was crazy because we were the traditional red, white, gray, Keller Williams colors. I said, I want teal. And they were like, what are you talking about? That's going to look terrible with red. I said, I don't care. Whatever we pick, I want the accent color to be teal. The reason for that, and I told them they knew, was teal is the cancer ribbon for ovarian cancer. And every time I see it, if I have my cup, if I have my shirt on, for whatever reason, it feels like I'm bringing my mom with me. So if you have something like that and it doesn't go with the market that you seek, please do whatever you choose that would feel right for you. Our team has navy, teal, and mustard yellow are our accent colors. And so, yes, you may have more than one color. You can have 2, you can have 3 that complement each other. And most likely what you will see is that one prevails in your marketing material. For us, for selfish reasons, it's teal. My notebook in front of me is teal. My Yeti cup is teal. My MacBook has a teal case on it. And those are all because of a reason that I wanted to have. And it has nothing to do with the target market. So you can deviate from this if you want to. It's not a huge deal. Okay. Step 2. Number 1, you've got your brand defined. You know who you're marketing to. You know what they're going to see. Next is, do you know what you want them to hear from you when you're targeting them? What's the message? First thing of this is, we've already talked through this, but you really have to get specific on your audience. And if you don't know, a couple of things to think through in order for you to be a little bit more on the right path. Maybe what is the age? Now, for us, I know that it's the military spouse, but further than that, I know that they're between 24 and 45, 46 years old. I'm not being ageist. That's just who my people are. That's who I want to do business with. That's who I align the most with. That's who likes the marketing I put out, okay? Yours might be whoever came before the millennial generation, whoever came after the millennial generation. All I hear is millennials. So whoever you guys are that are younger than me, it might be those people. That's cool too. It might be the move up buyer. that's in their 40s. It might be the empty nester that's in their 50s and 60s. It's okay for you to pick an audience and go with it, but think of what is their age, what are they interested in. Another thing to consider is as you're doing your branding, go participate in the things that they enjoy. Next, what is their socioeconomic status? You guys, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be the preferred realtor for everyone buying a home under $100,000. And there's also nothing wrong with wanting to be the preferred realtor who's selling nothing but $1 million to $5 million homes. That's okay. And the more that you understand that and can be honest with yourself, the more you can cater your marketing to it. Last, what is the location in which they choose to live, work, or have a job? That will also help you think through who your audience is. So before we go into hot button issues, I want you to take a second to pop it in the chat box. Who is your target audience? Not just on social media, but in general. Who is your target audience? Pop it in the chat box or write it down. 55 and over? Come on, you guys, pop it in the chat box. I'm somebody that's okay with silence. Families, 40 plus, 30 somethings. What did you say? 30? Oh, 30 somethings looking for a second home. Love it. Beachfront. I need your number. I need a beachfront home. All right, so you guys are doing great. Thank you. I feed off the participation. So if I ask you to, I get excited when people actually participate. Next, we're going to go to what's a hot button issue and what to pay attention to if you feel that you are polarizing people. So before we get into this, there's one concept that could be looked at two ways, okay? You could look at it as what we would call a hot button issue, which means that it's by definition very left or right, right or wrong, pro this or pro that. It's very opposite. So you'll only usually get people who are polar opposites of whatever the topic is. That would be called a hot button issue. For example, politics, you're either left wing or the right wing. You know, gun control, you're either pro-gun or you're not, you know, those type of things. You can look at that as a hot button, and most of the time you'll see people tell you to stay away from those conversations, or you can choose to own it and to say, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to want to work with people who all believe in the right to bear arms. I'm only wanting to work with people who believe politically the way I do. I only want to work with people who are this or that. And you guys, whichever you choose, don't let anyone make you feel wrong for it. If you want to adopt that as your micro, we call it a micro niche, but a micro niche market that you want to get into, it actually could help you. It's where we stay in the middle that it becomes controversial. So if you're not willing to completely adopt that thing as who you believe in, what you talk about, who you are, my suggestion for you is that you consider it a hot button issue and you really stay very away from it when it comes to your social media platform. Now, I know it's your social media, you guys do whatever you want, but I will tell you, if you are ranting and raving about any of the 6 things on this screen, politics, religion, sexual orientation, human welfare, like abortion, gun control, or any kind of feministic or race topics, you are by definition going to move about 50% of the people seeing that to you or away from you. And if you're willing to play those odds, keep having your opinion and making it public. I don't care. If you don't like those odds, don't play the game or adopt it as I'm 100% all in with this. Okay, either way is fine. Now we're going to talk a little bit about defining what you're saying to people. Every time you post anything about your kids, about your pets, about COVID, about your qualms with whatever, every time you post anything on social media, you are further defining who you are as a business person. You're defining who you are as a human being. And most importantly, in this conversation, you're defining who your brand is and what they stand for. Imagine the CEO of any company coming out and giving their personal opinion on one of those 6 topics we just talked about. It's not going to happen because they signed something saying that they won't. And when they do, what happened to the CrossFit community will happen to them. And if you don't know what happened to the CrossFit community a few months ago, I might want to Google it. It would be a good lesson in making sure that your audience likes your message or you don't share the message. A few quick tips though to make sure that you are portraying the right message. are, number one, talk about the things that you believe at your core. What are your core values? Who are you? For me, being humble is always at the forefront. So you will never see me posting about anything braggadocious, and anybody on my team knows to stay away from that as well. Number two, avoid old school sales tactics. You guys, you have to provide something before you ask for anything. If you're asking people to set an appointment today or come look at this home now, and you're not giving them anything of value, they're likely not going to align with your message. Number three, speak clearly about your goals. Speak clearly about the things that you're wanting from the reader of whatever you're posting. Last, always be positive, upbeat, and stay away from the drama of the world today. There's no lack of ability for us to find people who are wanting to stir the pot. There is, though, a lack of human beings who are always staying positive and upbeat despite the circumstance. And that doesn't mean that you think the situation is awesome. It just means that your spin on that day is going to attract somebody who's looking for good in the world. So you've branded yourself. You know what you want to say and who you're saying it to. Now let's talk real quick about marketing. I'm going to give you, before we go into the next piece, 5 specific ads that all year long you should be running in order to up your social media game. I'm going to give you a second to get the pen and paper that you didn't think you'd need for this call. If you choose to come on the journey with me for the 8-week course that we have on this particular class, this webinar is an intro into another course. If you guys want to take it, you can. We will go really deep into these types of ads and talk about how and what to spend and how to place it and those things. But for the sake of time right now, I'm going to give you the 5 ideas. Number 1 is CMA or valuations ads. Now, what I want to share with you though is that if you're sending out an ad with the expectation of a lead coming in, you have to have a funnel in place that will send them to Command or whatever CRM you use. You have to have that bridge there set up so that they go into that so you can follow up with them. The next thing you need is a retargeting ad in place to start targeting those people with whatever they initially clicked on. For example, home valuation ads. Go into Command, then those people are pushed in a retargeting ad targeting home value marketing on social media. Prices are going up, market stats, you name it, whatever. So CMA home valuations ad. The point of that, you guys, is not to get a listing right then. The point of it right now is in most marketplaces, we have really low inventory. And those of you who have done home valuation ads and you've thrown the leads away because they're not ready to sell, you're throwing away a pipeline of people who have halfway raised their hand and had a curious conversation about what they could sell for if they wanted to. The point of this is to build your pipeline of people later that you could sell to, or people who you could place your buyers that can't find a home into these properties. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be what I would call the FOMO ad. So FOMO is fear of missing out. FOMO might be that you offer something. Some of you may be Homes for Heroes participants. Some of you may be participants in some other referral network. Some of you may offer to buy home warranties for people, whatever it is. You're creating an ad for whatever your value proposition is. It could also be in your state, if it's allowed, giveaways, okay? You're creating an ad on someone who received the value that you have. A picture is worth 1,000 words if you have a picture, and you're promoting that through the ads manager. It's going to bring people who would love what you gave that person, and it also will allow their sphere to see who you are and that you're helping them. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be general branding. So just that's you think about it like your shopping cart or your bus bench or any of those things. This is just a general branding. Here's who we are. Next, number 4 is going to be reviews. So creating a strategy around marketing the reviews that you get from your clients. Now, this is not going to get you a piece of business, okay? This is going to get you people who see the type of service that you offer, and when they are ready, they've already seen the service that you offer, they feel comfortable with you, therefore they come to you. This is not an I place the ad and I get a lead concept, okay? Last, certainly not least, is all of your just listed, just pinned, and just solds. Every property that you guys have, you get 3 opportunities to make a marketing ploy around it on social media. Number 1 is when you list it. Number 2 is when you pinned it, and number 3 is when it closes. If you're only doing one of those, add the other two. And like I said, for time's sake, we'll go into more of that in the full course if you want to, or if you have questions and you don't want to join the course, just let me know and I'll do my best to answer all of them. All right, so I do want to bring a conversation to the forefront, and this is something that you might need to do some more research on outside of this webinar. But clicking Boost Post on your social media platform is literally the biggest waste of money that ever happened in ad placement. Now, if you're doing nothing else, keep boosting it. If you're wanting to get intentional on your ads yielding business, take that money and actually go into the back of the ads manager and customize your marketing. Customize the purpose of it. The back of the ads manager, when you go on Facebook and you find ads manager, on the ads manager is a customized way of marketing on Facebook. You have a video, you want people viewing the video, Facebook will show it to people who are most likely viewing the video. You have a message, they'll show it to people who will open their messenger. Boosted post is literally just blanketing social media and not having any strategy around who is going to see that thing. So can you do it? Yes. Is it a great strategy in 2021? Absolutely not. All right, we're going to keep going. Best and worst times to post. I'm going to let a few of you breathe easy. Best and worst times to post, if you don't post a lot, is whenever you can get around to it, at least once a day. And when I say this, I mean on your personal page as well as your business page. And we're going to get into that in a second. If you want to be more strategic about this, weekdays between 1 and 4 p.m., whatever your local time is, gets the highest click-through ratings. The overall peak time for interaction is on Wednesday at 3 p.m., and that's not for me, that's just a general stat. Worst times to post in terms of interaction is obviously going to be the weekends before 8 a.m. and after 8 p.m. because people are out or they're sleeping. Now, I want to bring a conversation to the forefront that I feel shocks quite a few people, and some people now have already heard this. Whenever you guys came to this class or to this webinar, I'm sure you wanted some clarity on something. I'm going to give you some clarity on this. Your business page is not going to get you business. I will say it again for the people in the back. Your business page is not likely going to get you business, and especially not at the levels in which you seek it. Think about a business page just like you think about the marketing that is placed on a grocery cart, on the side of a bus, on a park bench, or on a billboard driving down the road. Your business page is made for two purposes, and this is not my opinion. This is a Facebook, this is like a thing. Your business page is number one there for proof of your production, for proof that when someone goes to look for you, that there is a business there that's viable, that's open, that is working, and that people review it. So number one purpose of a business page is proof of production. Number two is so that you have a platform to place ads if you want to get leads from social media. You have to have a business page. Number three is for you to market yourself as an expert and leave it there, okay? Groups and your personal social media wall, i.e. your news feed or whatever the platform is you use that will be called a different thing. Your personal news feed and posting in groups or creating a group of your own is where you're going to get most of your business if you are very intentional in social media, okay? We're going to talk for a second about some do's and don'ts of a business page. Number one, put content out consistently. Make sure it's relevant and valuable. And that is not to get business. That is just to prove to people when they find you that you're worthy of doing business with. Number two, engage with everyone who comments. Private message them, talk to them about things, but don't just let them comment and then crickets, okay? Next, have a consistent calendar or schedule for posting. Some of you have asked, how in the world do you post so often? We have a schedule for it. We actually have a piece of technology that allows us to pre-schedule it once a week when we go in. And then honestly, I post with the flow of my day. In the morning, I like to use the rule of thirds. In the morning, I post something inspirational because people are looking for inspiration to get their day started. In the middle of the day, and this is all on my personal page, in the middle of the day, I will post something about work, business, listing I'm taking, coaching client I'm coaching, whatever. The end of the day, you will likely see my personal life. You can follow that same path if you'd like, but on a business page, make sure that just like on your personal page, you have a calendar or a schedule for what you're going to put out. When I was doing this by myself before I had somebody to help me, at the beginning of every single month, I would spend about 4 hours that Monday doing nothing but putting on a calendar, like old school pen and paper, what I was going to post every single day. Doesn't have to be sexy. It just has to happen. Next, post multiple times a day. Make sure that you're utilizing Facebook or Instagram stories as well. I'm going to give you another clear definition. If you're not posting at all, start posting once a day. If you're already posting once a day, go to 2 times. Ideally, if you can post somewhere between 1 and 4 times a day on social media, you will start to have people see you. One thing that happens is when you post, by the end of that day, or honestly, even by a few hours later, your stuff is so far down the news feed that people can't find it, even when they're scrolling. So thinking that you're posting something and everyone's going to see what you're posting, that is not a thing, you guys, not anymore. Facebook has changed the algorithm to the point where only about 10 to 15% of the people you're friends with will even see anything you post. And there are ways to hack that we talk about in the full program, but I want you guys to have the awareness that you have to continue to post things for people to see things from you based on what time of day they get on social media. Next, don't spam people all day long with listings. People don't need us anymore to get listing information, you guys. They just don't. They can go online. They can go on any of a million apps that are available. They don't need us for that. Post something about the listing that they can't find when they go to those apps. We've already talked about this. Don't be negative or isolate anyone unless you're willing to only market to that subset of people. And last, I know you're all so proud of yourself, but don't spend all your time bragging on your accomplishments. I love each and every one of you, but the more of us that are posting, oh, I sold this house in 2.5 hours for 5,000 over asking or 50,000 or whatever, the more we're showing the public that we are too busy for them, or that we are underpricing their properties. There's a pro and a con to every message you're putting out, okay? If you are posting how much you're always working and blah, 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 people who love you may feel they need to go somewhere else because you're too busy for them. And I know half of you on here just rolled your eyes. I did too, until it happened to me about 5 times in a 6-month period, where people I'm really close to said, oh my God, I didn't want to bother you with my little $100,000 investment home. We just went over here because she's not as busy. It happens, okay? Let's talk really quickly about the concepts of a Facebook group. If you're not in one, I would encourage you to look out for Facebook groups that are like interest to you. So if you like to ride horses, or if you are in a mom's group or whatever, start joining and interacting in some of them. About 6.5, 7 years ago, before we moved here, I created a Facebook group that's whole idea was to bring everyone who had a housing need in my area to one place. The second purpose was to keep all real estate agents, mortgage brokers, title people, whomever, out of the group so that people who truly needed help could openly have conversation. And today, that group consistently, and even right now, has around 6,000 to 6,500 people in it. And there's so much conversation going on in there. All 50 sales that I did that year came from the group in that first 12 months. I still get that many today, if not more. I've had people after this before say, yeah, but do you still get that? Yes, actually. We get a huge portion of our transactions every year from some sort of relationship through the group. What types of groups can you create if you want to create one? Housing group like what I did, neighborhood group for your own neighborhood, a lifestyle group for many different things, networking groups like your own BNI group or something like that, special interest groups, clubs, or alumni associations. Even if you live away from your college, you can still create an alumni association group for your own backyard where people who went to school at that same school get together. The whole point of the group, you guys, is engagement. Facebook looks at the business page like a platform to speak outwardly at people, and Facebook looks at groups like the platform to speak internally to people. So if you're not utilizing Facebook groups or your personal wall to do business, I really think you're missing a huge opportunity. And like I said, if you have questions about how to do some of this later that you didn't get from the class, please let me know. And as promised, before we go into the questions mode, I'm going to give you one simple thing that you can do every single day if you're just getting started, or even if you're not, to grow your volume of business through social media if you do it every day and if you're purposeful. What it's called, and you've probably heard this before, I think I originally got it from someone else in a class years ago, Lisa. Anyway, it's called the 5 by 5 by 5. So 5 times 5 times 5, and this is a Monday through Friday, or whatever 5 days a week you work, activity that you would do every single day on your personal page in order to grow your following. Every day, the first 5 is 5 messages to a message to 5 different people, so 5 total messages. You're going to send 5 personal messages to 5 different people. And if you guys don't have your past clients or your sphere friended on Facebook, that would be my first order of business. So 5 messages a day. Next thing is you're going to post on 5 people's news feeds every single day, 5 different people. Lastly, you're going to engage in 5 separate groups, or if you have your own group, you're going to engage with 5 different people in your group. Now, if you have no one and you've never done anything on social media, I'm going to challenge you to take that last 5 and either add 5 friends a day that are mutual friends with somebody else you know, or to join 5 separate groups every single week. Okay? 5 by 5 by 5. If you want to get really specific, take your list of past clients in Sphere and target those people for these conversations. It makes it a little easier than talking to complete strangers. All right, so before we go into the questions and answer section, if you're curious and you want to join the 50 Facebook Sales in 50 Weeks group coaching program that's about to launch with me, going into depth on all these things, you're more than welcome to. It is an 8-week program, 1 call for an hour every single week for 8 weeks, starting next week. It's at the same time every Tuesday with the exception of Family Reunion Week, and it is recorded. So if you can't listen that week at that time, that is okay. The recordings are available 24 hours later, and they stay with you for 2 months after the class ends. So if you have to catch up, that's totally okay. In there, we're going to talk about everything from branding to video marketing to creating ads to how you organically grow your business, some ways that you can pay for it, and literally everything in between. If you have additional questions, or if you want to see the weekly breakdown of what the group is going to be talking about, just send me a message on social media and I'll send that to you. It is a Zoom interactive conversation, whereas you're seeing this here, it is a Zoom interactive conversation. And some additional perks, in addition to the weekly webinars, there's also a closed Facebook group that you can join that you never leave. So everyone who's been through this course for the last 1.5 years is still in there and still interacting with each other. You can share in there, get some ideas. And there's also supplemental and additional content posted every single week to that group. The full program launches on January 12th, which, like I said, is next week at 1:30 Eastern Time every single week for 8 weeks. $198 is the investment in that group. And if you're wanting to sign up, you will actually just go to mapscoaching.com/group, and you'll find the 50 Facebook Sales in 50 Weeks group coaching program there if you so choose. You can join all the way up to the day that we launch, so you don't have to do it today, but you forget. So the other thing I would challenge you to think about is if you only sold 1 home from anything that you learned in this group, you would probably more than 10x, if we're being honest, 20 to 30x in some of your marketplaces, the money that you invested in this. And if you have any other questions, just pop them in the chat box, and we will go there. So Kathy says, why only available for 2 months? The program that we use is called Kajabi, and that's something that's set up in the Kajabi portal that you have access to the recordings for 2 months. You have the workbooks forever. You have the group for Facebook forever. It's just Kajabi has a length of time that they keep their programs active. Okay, so will you give us sample ads? Yes, in there are sample ads. There's just not enough time on this program to go through them, but if you want to see some, you're more than welcome to reach out. Will you have another session after this 8-week one? Yep, we do them probably about every 3 to 4 months. I don't know the next launch date though. That's determined by MAPS. The next one we will have will be at some point in the spring or summer though. How do you get so many people to join your community group? So Dave, great question. At the beginning, honestly, I joined other groups, and when I saw people posting about housing questions, I would answer their question, and then also put, if you want more information or want, you know, other people's input, this is a great group for that. And I would paste my link on there. I can't tell you that I did not get banned from some groups doing that. I didn't care though. So yeah, that. And then the other thing is, even to this day, we still have a sign rider that's the royal blue for Facebook's color that says join the conversation, and it's literally on every single listing that we have. After a while though, people will organically start seeing it pop up when they search for your area. Do you sign up for 5 groups as yourself personally or as a realtor? You guys, I see that I'm the same. I am a mom, I'm an Army wife, I'm a realtor, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm all those things, and I can't see that there's any separation. So when I join anything, I'm joining it from my personal page as whomever they want to see that I am at that moment. I don't see that there's any real difference between the two personally. Who sees it when I post on my business page? Angelo, great question. Answer is almost no one, unless they're following you or unless they're tagged. When you post on your business page, unless that person has followed and earmarked your page, or unless they purposefully click on your page, that stuff doesn't usually come up on people's news feeds. So the answer is almost no one, unfortunately. Should we have a business page separate from a personal page? Yes, you should if you want to place ads, and I think you should anyway. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that the expectation is not that their business page is going to be what gives them the majority of their business. Someone says, what about fair housing issues? Lisa, I don't remember seeing this when I was talking, so maybe you can give me some insight on what you were referring to. What are the 5s again? 5 personal messages, 5 comments on different people's news feeds, and engage in 5 groups, or engage with 5 people in your group. Do you have guidance on other social media? So this program that we're running is specific to Facebook and Instagram. Other things outside of that are not covered here. So if you're looking for that, that's not necessarily what you would get. Let's see. Can you give any tips on how to create content on groups? Yep. So my tips to you guys just in general, which we do go in more depth in the actual program, or if you want to message me, I can talk to you about that on the side. It's fine. But my content conversations would be geared towards whatever the group is about. So for example, there's a girl in my office who has a group for people who hunt. And so her content from her page is mostly in that realm. Where for me, inside my group, mine is mostly about interpreting housing for military people in my own backyard. So the content tips I can give you will depend a whole lot on what you're focusing on. So I can't give you a generalization right now, but if you do want to message me on Facebook, I can answer that for you after I hear what is, you know, what your thing is. How do you schedule calendar on personal page? I have an actual calendar that I post that on. I schedule on my business page and in my groups from an outside source. And if you have Command, you can schedule for your business pages and groups and stuff like that through Command. Your personal page, you will actually have to, if you have to set an alarm, set an alarm. If you have to put it on a calendar, you put it on a calendar. Should you only be posting on your personal page then? No, you should still be doing both, but you should do personal stuff and business on your personal page. Light business, I would do 1/3 of whatever you post is real estate related on your personal page. 1/3 of it is your personal life, and 1/3 of it is some sort of inspiration, information, education, something like that. What software do you use to send automatic posts? We personally use a combination of Command and a program called Sprout Social, S-P-R-O-U-T, to do all of our posting. All right, you guys, I'm seeing thank yous, and I think that's all I see on here for questions. But like I said, my email address is Dina, which is D as in Delta, E as in Echo, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, so D-E-A-N-A, Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N @kw.com. And if for some reason I didn't get to your question, or if I didn't see it, please send it to me so I can answer whatever you have. Thanks for joining me on this awesome Tuesday. I'm trusting that all of you are going to have a really awesome 2021. And like I said, if you have any questions about this or other things in business or wanting to get into one-on-one coaching outside of social media, I can answer whatever questions you have about that as well as it pertains to MAPS. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.